This is the screen of the packet scrolling round, information scrolling round. Unfortunately the wavy lines I can't get rid of because I've had to use a television instead of a monitor. The monitor just appears to be rolling on the camera, although it isn't. It's just that the line speeds are out of sync and it makes it look like the pictures keep rolling. Let me first of all go through just a little bit. It says on the screen there, Spectrum Packet Radio System. Who designed it? I'm disconnected, I'm not talking to anybody. At the moment it's in standby. When something comes up onto the screen or it's receiving, it will tell you so. All these little headers here just tell me whether the printers are switched on, etc, etc. My call sign is in there, G7EJO. The time is there, it's 11:44. The date is there, it's the 3rd of the 11th, 95. And those are my receive and my transmit buffers where information will be put into either from the disk or from the screen as it's coming in. What I type in goes in this part of the screen. What I'm typing is in the white highlighted part, and what's received comes in this part of the screen, so it's a split screen. I'm going to try and connect to a BBS and send a couple of messages. To do that I've got to type in C, which is appearing on the bottom screen, space. The C stands for connect to GB. Let me put it in capitals, it'll make it easier for you to read. I think GB7FLG. I'll see if we can talk to that BBS. That's the call sign of the BBS. Now it tells us we're connected to GB7FLG. Now we've got to wait for some prompts from the BBS and see what it tells us to do. It's my local bulletin board, it's the one I use 90% of the time. Although there are others, the information on all bulletin boards is normally the same. Coming up to dinner time there'll probably be a few people using it, which will slow things down slightly. The clicking that you can hear is my computer when it's talking. Right, if I put the scanner on we may be able to hear our transmissions of what actually is being sent. That's the information that's being sent over the radio, and another computer decodes that information and puts it up onto the screen, or either does whatever with it. This system's called packet, running the computer over the radios, and they term it packet because it sends short packets of information like that. Okay. It says, hello Ian, there are 1711 active messages, last is 99161 and last listed is 60354. GB7FLG BBS welcomes all users. A Dampack Lampack area BBS, please support your local packet group, Dampack Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire, Lampack Leicestershire. I switch that off now, I think we've got the gist of the idea of what it sounds like. But as it's sending short packets of information, it takes a while for the two computers to swap backwards and forwards. Now we're located at Whittick, northwest Leicestershire. 24-hour 300 to 14,400 board speed modems on, and that's his telephone number. Now it's waiting for a command from a GB7FLG BBS is waiting. So what I want to do is to send a message over to a gentleman in Germany. So I'm going to ask the bulletin board to do that, and I'm going to type in S, which you'll see come on the bottom headers. because I want to send a message, and I want to send it to DD9, which is this gentleman's call sign, GD9WM. Type enter, and it will tell the BBS that I wish to send a message to DD9WM. The BBS should then know the route which the message has got to take and sort everything out from there. There we go, it's sorted out the route it's got to take and where it's got to go, and it's asking me to write the title for this message, and I'm just going to put hello, HELLO, from, no I won't, I was going to put hello from England, but I'll put PAP, paper in the post. At the moment I'm learning German, and this chap here in German is learning English. So I've asked him if he'd like to swap newspapers. I could send him a local newspaper and he could send me a local newspaper. And I've actually done that, so I'm going to send him a message telling him that I've done that. Now it's put the title on, it's asking me to write the message, end with /EX or Control-Z. Now I've already put the message into a transmit buffer because it takes me a long time to type it out. To transmit my TX buffer, I'll just press TT and it'll transmit the TX buffer. It will take it quite a while because it's quite a long message. If I go quiet for periods of time, it's because I'm writing. I'm legally bound to keep a log of all the contacts that I make, who I talk to. Well, I have to put down the date, the message is sent. It's just come up, messages sent. Who I talk to, what frequency we talk on, what mode we talk in. And things like that. Now if I want to read that message back, I type in list, L, which stands for list, the arrows away from the call sign, which is from G7EJO, which is my call sign, and it should list the message. There's the message up. The message number 99167, it's a personal message, how big the message is, who it's to, where he is, and as I say, the date, etc., and paper in the post. There's the title. Just going to wind the printer in. I want to read that message, so I'm going to type in R99167, which is the message number. Enter it and then fetch that message back to make sure that it's gone into the BBS. OK. It doesn't always go in OK, I mean everything's not perfect, so I'll fetch it back and it'll scroll around the screen and I can read it as it's coming through, hopefully. If it comes through too fast, that's no problem because it'll go into a memory in the computer and I can fetch it back and read it at will. All the commands that we use are abbreviated commands, like if you want to read something you type in R, as we've done. Makes life a lot easier than typing in read, especially for people like me. I mean, it's a hobby to me, not a profession. So I'm very, very slow with my typing. System suits me very well because I leave it switched on and it takes messages for me when I'm not here. so I don't have to be here. People can leave messages on my discs or in the BBSs or... And then the next time I log on, as I've done now, the BBS will tell me if there's a message for me. It'll say there is 1 or 2 or 10 or however many messages there are for you. Here we go, it's from me, G7EJO to DD9WM. Personal message, 3rd of November, 11:48. Paper in the post. Hello Ingrid Marr. In guard. Ermingard, should I say. As we go through the message, I have put your local paper in the... We haven't quite got post yet, but no doubt it'll come through very shortly. Thing is, we're using it at dinner time. A lot of people are sitting at home playing. This system's not a one-on-one basis. It can be talking up to possibly 20 people at the same time, which means it'll send me a piece of information, somebody else a piece of information, then somebody else a piece of information. Put your paper in the post on the 2nd of the 11th 95. You should receive it soon. Thank you for taking the time and trouble for sending the message in German as well as English. I've asked him because I want to know what the phonetic alphabet is in German. Like in English it would be A for Alpha, B for Bravo, C for Charlie. And then I've wrote him a bit of a message in German, which is it says ich. Well, it basically says that I've been learning German now for 4 weeks. I'm married. I've got a wife, 2 children. One's 10, one's 5. And underneath it just says, I hope you understand. I've asked him if he has SSB on his radio, which is single sideband, which we'll go on to later. If so, then we'll be able to talk one-on-one with each other. That message now is on its way and off through the BBSs and on its way to him in Germany. Hopefully, anyway. We've sent that message over to Germany. I just paused the camera because I printed it out and I didn't want it to. It just picked up, make such a row, the printer does, so it's pointless, you're just listening to that. I now want to send another message. Now that one's gone over to Germany, I want to send one over to the States, to a chappie I speak to, John over there. I've been speaking to him for quite a while now. And his call sign is N9XNH. And I forgot to type in the S first. As you can see, I'm typing on the bottom line space, which stands for send. N9XNH. So we're now telling the BBS that we want to send a message to that call sign. It's worked out the route it's got to go to. It says WP, from WP to W9YB, which is his BBS, IO, USA. Right title for this message to N9XNH, and it will send it out. So we're going to put the title in again. We'll just put hello John. We'll send that over, and then it should ask us to send the message when it's got the title. This time I'm going to use a slightly different method of sending the message, because I haven't got it in my TX buffer. I've got the message for DD9 over in Germany in the TX buffer. So I'm going to fetch it off the disk and the command to do that, which I've already put it on the disc, as I said, because it takes me quite a long time to type with LT, which it loads to TF, to the TX buffer, space, and I put it in on the disc under its call sign. So we need N9 XNH. Press enter. As it's finding it off the disc and putting it into the TX buffer, at the same time it's also going to transmit it over the radio, which it's doing now. It's put it into the TX buffer. It's 954 bits of information, which includes the spaces, dots, commas, each individual letter. Excuse me. So it's put it into the TX buffer, and as I say, at the same time it's transmitting it over the radio. So this way it does the two things at once, but I personally prefer to type the message out. I could type it through the keyboard and send it each line or at a time, but I prefer to do it this way. I find it much quicker because I can type it into the disc or into the memories and fetch it back up and send the information over very quickly, whereas if I'm sitting here typing it onto the keyboard, I'm going to be on the BBS for hours on end. As I say, I'm sort of a two-fingered typist, like I'm not a fast typist. And all the clicking that you can hear at the moment. Right, the message has been sent. It tells me the message is sent. Message is sent. It went from GB7FLG to GB7BAD. That's the message number and the size, 955. So if I want to find that message and read it, because I always read them after I've sent them, I type in L with the arrow away, which is from G7EJO, and it should now list two messages, the one for DD9WM, which has been sent, and the one for N9XNH, which is for John. That's the first message coming up, and the second message is underneath, on top. The message number is 99173. It's a personal message, that's how big it is, who it's to, who it's from, time, date, and hello John, as I said. So if we type in R, which stands for read, 99173, we should be able to read that message and see what it says. There we go. Hello John. Hi John. I am doing a demonstration here in the shack. All this information of time and dates is needed, as I said, for the logbook. We'll have to keep a record. Just waiting for the next bits of information to come through. There we go. I'm doing a demonstration here in the shack. Thought I would drop you a note at the same time. Your last note on the 8th of the 8th 95, you told me about your new Kenwood, the TS440. That's just the type of a new radio he's bought. A nice piece of kit. Also the antenna, a 17 metre half wave. It's an experimental antenna that he's made. He made it over a weekend, and he'd not had much time to use it the last time I spoke to him, which was in August. So I've asked him, how is it doing, with a question mark. How are you doing on the bands, on the HF bands with the new licence? He's just passed his Morse code test, which puts him onto different frequencies. Again, asking him another question. He asked me in his last message about the cars. I bought the new Fiesta. And we've just started that paragraph. As soon as the information comes out, I'll read it to you. I don't know whether you'll be able to read it. It's it's become a compromise, which is the lesser of the two evils. As I say, the picture on the monitor appears to roll when you're recording it. So I'm using a television. I've been given the car some work. I've been to Rill on the west coast. I've been to Hemsby on the east coast, back to the Midlands, then went up to Skegness for a couple of days. Put about 2,000 miles on the clock in under the first month. The weather has started to turn cold, the odd frost here and there, but still warm in the day. Only small amounts of rain. Now saying it's time to drop the message into the BBS. I'm now back on my old BBS GB7FLG because all problems seem to be solved now, because I had a lot of problems with the BBS and I changed to another one, but I prefer to use this one because it's a lot quicker than the other one. P.S. Hope your mum is okay. Say hello to mum for me. His mum used to live in Skegness in England, and she always gets a bit of a buzz like when he talks to or has a message from somebody in England. All the best to you and your 73's D Ian, which is me, G7EJO at GB7FLG, and that's its address, 25 GBR EU, and the end of the message. I'm just going to print the message out now, so while I printed that message out, I disconnected from the BBS. I'm going to try and use another method. I'm going to ask another computer to relay me, use a computer as a relay station. The call sign of the computer I'm going to use is G7RXG. -8 means I want to use him as a relay station rather than to talk to him. It says connected to wild node G7RXG, channel A, welcome to Kenny's node in Oakwood, Derby, and then enter the command. Now I want it to connect me to GB7FLG, so I type in C GB7FLG, and my computer asks his computer to relay the message to GB7FLG, which puts a computer between us. It's told us now the link's been made. Although we're connected to G7RXG, we're talking to GB7FLG using Kenny's node as a relay station. You can use as many nodes as you want. Here we're coming up again, hello Ian. It's a very friendly system as it was before. It tells you all about itself, etc. There's no limit to the amount of nodes you can do. You can go all around the country, you can go in and out of the country via satellites and through internet, etc. Telenet, which uses telephones, it's the same thing as internet, onto different countries and continents and all over the place. Takes a long time. Obviously the more computers you put in the way, the longer it's going to take for the message to get there and get back. And also you've got to remember that other countries are on different times to us, so there may not be somebody sitting next to the keyboard. I want to send a message. So I type in S, and the station I want to send it to is VK5AWC. Now this chap's Bill, his name is down in Australia. One of the reasons you want to send it this way. Now we've come up with something strange. It says warning, WP has no routing to VK5AWC. Right title for this message. Now because it doesn't know the route, I'm not going to write a title, I'm just going to press enter, and it should cancel that message. Because it doesn't know the route, it will just the message will just sit in GB7FLG and go nowhere. It's telling me now that the message has been cancelled, so I want to send it, but I do know his full address, so I'm going to type in S for send, VK5AWC again at. Now if I find his full address, he's at VK5 BBS, that says BBS, dot ADL, which I suppose stands for Adelaide, dot SA, which would stand for South Australia, I would suppose. A, U, S, O, C. Let's just check that before we send it. VK5AWC at VK5BBS, ADL, SA, AUS, OC. Enter that. And it should tell us that it can send it, hopefully anyway. Yeah, it says right title for message to VK5AWC. Just put hello Bill again. Just lets him know that we're still alive and kicking and all's well. Well, this chap's been having a few problems. He's about 61 I believe now. Self-employed, or was self-employed, out there. Repairing televisions etc, and business has not been too good, as you might say. I believe he's closing the business down now and retiring. Now we've got to write the message again, TT, transmit the TX buffer, because I put the message into the TX buffer while I was disconnected. I'm printing the other message out. This one's not too long, this message, it's only 622 bits. And we should be able to read it back when it's been sent. Fill the booking time started, 12:38. Called by me, G7EJO. Now waiting for Kenny's node to relay it to GB7FLG, because as I said, we've now put another computer in the way, so it takes slightly longer, because we've had to send the information to him, he's had to store the information, contact GB7FLG, make sure he can talk to him, send the information to him, then FLG will say to him, okay, we've got the message number is such and such, and then it's got to send it back to me, so it will take quite a while this time, as opposed to before. When we're talking one-on-one, whereas before the screen was continually scrolling round because it was listening to everything, now it's only listening to information directed at me, because I'm talking to somebody else. Everything would be scrolling off the screen before I had a chance to read it, and it would be filling the computer memories up with basically rubbish that I don't want to know at this particular time. everybody must be on their dinner break. It's 12:42 and it's taking quite a while, possibly because it's got that many users now. Whereas before most people was at work and it was running relatively quickly. I'll send the message again just in case it didn't get it first time. There we go, the message is now sent. Message number. And if we want to drop the message that we've read, it says, "Hello Bill, sorry to hear that business is dreadful. Someone must be telling you it's time to slow down. All the same it gives you more time for your hobbies, to do the things you never had time to do. Weather here is turning cold, must mean your weather is getting warmer, or even into the summer by now. Lucky people. Not much been going on this way since last time. I'm trying to learn German at the moment, and then after that I'm going to give Morse code a go, see if we can get up onto the HF bands. All the best, Bill. 73's DE and my call sign and address, so he knows where to send information back to." I've printed that message out now to Bill, and while he was off I disconnected through G7EJO and went straight into GB7FLG, make things a little bit quicker. I've asked it to list me up the 3 messages that I've sent, which are there, and there's the one to DD9, the one to N9X, and the one to VK5. Titles, Paper in the Post, Hello John, Hello Bill. There's loads and loads of messages on there. You can I'll type in LL20 and that'll list the last 20 bulletins on the bulletin board. You can list them to specific categories or to specific subjects or to specific people. There's the last one, which is the one I put on, Hello Bill. There's one there to Morse from Fred. The number's there. If I want to read it, I just type in R and the number and I can read that message. So if anything takes me fancy, I can do. Just read the message. Who they're from, who they're to. There's one I put to VK5, there's one there titled to Morse, there's one titled to all, to everybody. Somebody's looking for an address for TK2C. Well, I don't know him, so there's no point me sending him an answer. Some there to AMSAT, amateur satellites. Somebody wants a status report. One there from NASA. New miniature sensor system, the one to NASA is. Vector computer. There's the other one I put there, look, Hello John. And another one, Paper in the Post. Mag loop, whatever a mag loop is. What's a mag loop? I don't know. He's sending the message to help anyway, so he wants some information on it. The message number is 99170. I think there's anything there of any interest to me at the moment. Somebody's looking for some crystal specifications. It's a great way if you want help with something. If you're looking for an instruction manual for something, you've picked a piece of kit up and you haven't got the instruction book, or you want to know how to convert something, you can just put a bulletin out on here, send it to everybody either in Britain, worldwide, or wherever you want. There's no problem, it'll go where you tell it to go. We've finished that. It's listed the last 20 anyway. Just did that as any figure. I'm going to read this 99170 and see what it's about. As I say, nothing that rings a bell with me. If I can help him, I'll send him a note back and give him a hand. But here we go, to help. Mag loop, whatever a mag loop is. I'm going to find out. I think it's some sort of antenna, but I'm not sure. Thank you for reading my dilemma. I'm using a loop clamp to an unknown boom. Right, a metre long switch over the balcony of my ground flat. Right. Well, basically what's happened, the type of aerial he's using is in a block of masonettes, and he's got 10 flats behind him, 5 above him. He's on the ground. And it is causing television interference. And he is looking for some sort of equipment to stop that. Because he's got so many televisions near him, he can't really approach the problem by doing it through the televisions. He's got to try and do it through his radio. It's whatever's cost effective. For him to put one piece of equipment on his radio to stop it may be cheaper than trying to attack 10 different televisions. It's usually easier to attack the televisions than it is the radio equipment, and 9 times out of 10 it's more fault on the cheap import manufactured TVs that haven't got the filtering systems. Anyway, I can't send him any help because I don't really know too much about his situation. You need to know a lot more information that he's giving there. You need to know the makes of the televisions, etc, etc, so you know where the problem's getting in. I mean, the problem could be getting in through the television set, through the television coax. It may be going in through a communal antenna. All the televisions may be plugged into the same aerial. Anyway, I've finished now. What I want to do is, all I've got to do is wait for those people to reply to me. Now that might take a couple of days because they may not be sitting at the keyboards. So I've just typed in B because I want to say goodbye to the BBS. And I shall log on in a day or two and see whether the message is there. As I say, that's the beauty about it. The messages will be taken, the reply messages will be taken for me whether I'm sitting here or not. And the next time I switch on and log into that particular BBS, it'll say, hello Ian, there is X number of messages for you. If they've had time to reply. They may not have had time to reply. It says you have been connected 6 minutes and 39 seconds. Computer time, I've actually been using this computer for 7 seconds. So it says bye Ian and welcome back. So there we go, that's about packet. As I say, we're going to shut down now and give it a couple of days and see what sort of replies we get from those. This is the kit that we've been using. That's the monitor. That's the scanner that we heard the packets of information coming across on earlier. This particular scanner is capable of picking up airband, police, amateur radio, private mobile radio, private telephones. So be careful what you're saying when you're on private telephones. Even the walkabout radio telephones as you know in the house, it'll even pick them up, so nobody's sacred. Go down to the computer, that's the modem on top of the computer. There's 3 lights on there. The one on the left, the red one's the power on. Then the one on the extreme right's a green one which lights up when it's transmitting, and the yellow one to the left of the right is lights up when it's actually receiving information. The keyboard underneath is an old Spectrum Plus 3 computer, which is a disk drive computer, which allows me to store information very quickly, and it's a cheap computer to have tied up on this system. I leave it on 24 hours a day, so I don't want an expensive PC tied up in it. So the computer sends the information to that modem. The modem then sends it to the radio. That radio is there, wrapped up in tin foil. That's because it's a walkie-talkie and it's got a plastic case. Because it's a walkie-talkie with a plastic case, there's such a lot of electrical equipment in here that would interfere with it, and it would not work properly without the metal wrapped around it. So that's why it's wrapped up in tin foil. It just stops interference from the computer and everything else upsetting its major functions. That too is switched on 24 hours a day, so it does pretty well. The printer next to it there is just prints out the information. The people I talk to regularly, I print the conversations out my way and their way so I can keep some sort of record. And there is some messages hanging up there, the 3 that I've just done, waiting for replies. And when I get the replies, I'll put them into the printer backwards and print the reply on the reverse side. The licences that I need, or the exams that I had to pass to get the licences, they're the certificates there for the city and guilds. There's 2 there. I don't know whether we can actually zoom in and read them. It's awarded to me. Licensing conditions. I can't actually read them through this. There we go. Licensing conditions and transmitter interference. Operating procedures, practice and theory. There's that one. There's a Society of Great Britain certificate there, as I'm a member of those. And my licence validation document, which states where I am, who I am, what my call sign is, etc. When we talk to people on the radio, we very often send a postcard through the post as proof that we have actually spoken to one another. The ones I send at the moment are this one over here, which is gold on black, as you can see there, from Ian, G7EJO, the final courtesy of a QSO, which is a conversation as a QSL, picture of Britain, amateur radio to the world, with the arrows, and it says above the world there, extending the hand of friendship around the world, and 2 hands, shaking hands underneath. 73s, 55s means sort of best wishes. That's a gold on black card. I've also had a black on red card printed. The ones I had before then were a photograph card. There we go, there's me sitting in the shack there with the aerials and G7EJO, Ian, QSL. As I say, the QSL means that it's the card that's being sent as proof. There's John's QSL card from Murphy Street, Lafayette, over in the States. That's the one we've sent a message over to. That's his QSL card. As you can see, it's to me on the left hand side at the bottom. There's the one to me from Bill, Australia, VK5AWC, we've also sent a message to. That's his QSL card. Just come round and picked out another few maybe of some interest. There's one there from DU3LCM in the Philippines. There's one from Hong Kong. The station that sent it's the top one, VS6XFK. These 3 stations that are listed there share the cost of the printing of the card, so it's got all 3 call signs on. And there's one from EA2AFF in Spain. Just picked a random selection, Julio his name is. Don't want to bore you too much, but we could stand and do this all day. I've got that many QSL cards from around the world. Give you some idea of the aerials that I'm using. That one there on the top, the straight pole, is omnidirectional. That means it pulls signals in from 360 degrees vertically. A vertically polarised signal. That one there underneath it is a beam, which is a directional antenna, very similar to a television antenna, but you transmit on it and receive on it, and it's slightly larger. The third one underneath there is exactly the same as the one above it, but for a higher frequency, up on 430 megs, whereas the one above it is for 144 megs. The one down at the back, down there, is an 18-foot silver rod designed for CB. There's a rotator which turns the aerials through 360 degrees to point them in any direction. And on the aerials, they are horizontally polarised at the moment, but can be switched through to vertically polarised, as I'll show you shortly. And that's the antenna network that I use. These are the radios I use for talking one-on-one on people. That radio there is 144 MHz, 2 meters. That one is 430 MHz. They're both exactly the same, identical radios, twin sisters, just working on different frequencies. That there's a linear amplifier. It boosts the signal output of the radios a little bit more to help you on your way, as you might say. That switch box there, as you can see, was one I made up. When I first started using my radios, I was using them in the house. This is the one that turns the aerials 90 degrees, the beams. That's why the lights are on there, so I know when it's horizontal, when it's vertical, when the compressor stopped and the aerials are in the position, because I couldn't actually hear it off. I can in here. There's the lights. I've got the 2 metre beam is horizontal, the 70 centimetre beam is vertical, and that's the one we're using at the moment to listen to that. To turn the aerials round, we use this box. It's marked up north, south, west and east. Wherever I turn that dial, the aerials will move to. So I'll know all the time where the aerials are, which way they're pointing. This little box down here is how most people start the radio. It's a CB, Citizens Band. I always keep one in here. That one's got the European frequencies on it and the British frequencies, so it's quite versatile really. It saves me having 2 radios. This is the radio that we're listening to at the moment. We're listening. Tango, Tango, Tango. Over to back to JJC. I can remember that one. The gentleman that's speaking has had a stroke and he's just getting over it and he's struggling with the call signs, etc.
Okay, Henry, yeah, no
But
problem
he's up in
at all.
Grantham.
No problem. You take your time. There's
This
no
chap
hassle
is
at all with
mobile.
that, Henry. I'm sure you know some of the lads out there. Very famous station.
What they're actually doing is they're using a repeater. They go in on one frequency and the repeater boosts the signal up and sends it out on another frequency. There's 4 or 5 people talking on this particular channel. A bit of a network like, just throwing odd comments in now and again.
And laggy, LAG, laggy.
And they're just basically doing a little bit of reminiscing.
But Nigel's G7EJO. He don't want to come down to our level, you know, G7, oh dear, no. No.
That's that radio. The 2 metre one does exactly the same, but as I say, on different frequencies. They're all mode. They've got FM, single sideband, carry wave, Morse code.
You're okay, no hassle.
You can see possible lights flashing on. That's a signal meter. It tells me what sort of signal he's coming in on.
If Nigel's still with us, or if there's arrived at Tony's, and if Tony's still there, they're probably a cup of tea.
And they're just generally basically chit-chatting away, passing the time of day.
If nobody comes back, then I think it's over to Brian.
Right, we're back up with the packet station again. Quite a few days we've been off the air. Unfortunately, the modem went down halfway through making this tape, so in the same token, it's give people a chance to reply to the messages that I sent. I think there was 3 I sent. One was to DD9 in Germany, one to VK5AWC in Australia, and one over in the States to John. So you can see the screen scrolling round. There's quite a few people on it. It's the 29th of the 11th, 95, and it's 1928. So sort of 7:30 time. There's most people are using the network, so it's quite busy and will possibly be pretty slow. So I'm going to connect to G7RXG-8, and that should connect to a computer, and then I can connect via that computer to the BBS. I'm going to see if the messages have been answered. There we are. We've connected to G7RXG-8. Info transfer. It says connected to wild node G7RXG-8 channel A. Welcome to Kenny's node in Oakwood, Derby. Enter command. Now I want him to connect me to GB7FLG. So I've asked it connect GB7FLG. Now that's asked that computer in Derby to connect me. He's just told me he's made the link. He's made me a link now with a computer over in Whittick. Which is GB7FLG. I'm just writing the logbook out while I'm talking. Right, we've gone through. It says, hello Ian. It tells me how many messages there are, where the BBS is, and there's 6 messages for me. It says there are 6 messages for you. You've read but not killed. I read them to see what was on there earlier when I tried the modem out and it come back. So I'll type in LM, and the system should list my messages and give me the numbers for my messages and who they're from, etc, etc. There we go. There's a return message from VK5AWC, which is message number 15851. 14941 is from N9XNH. 14165 is from, well, there's no need to keep going through this. I want to fetch down the reply from DD9, which is over in Germany. So I'll type in that number. It's 13010. So I want to read, so I'll type in R13010. I better cross it out because I put 1413010. Make sure that's right. 13010. And I should be able to read that message. or it should send me that message. It'll send me that message and I'll put it, here it comes through, I'll put it into a buffer. D9 W and then at a later date I can print it out. What's the subtitle? Answer is his title. Anything what you can remember about what I sent to him. I'll see if it'll come round. It's giving me information from my logbook now. Who it's from, DD9WM. Who it's to, me, G7EJO. It's a personal message. Came in on the 10th of November at 10 past 11 at night, 23:10. Answer. The computers it went through there. It says, "Hi Ian." And as we start going round, we'll come through with a little bit more. Thanks, I've received your message on the 14th of the 1st, 14th of the 11th, 95. I've received your local paper. I don't know if you remember, I said I'd send him a paper and he could send me a German paper. He's telling me that he's only got a Class B licence and he can't use VHF equipment. He can't use VHF equipment, but he's hoping to take his Morse code licence so he can get on VHF. I don't know if you can remember, I asked him if he'd got any SSB or anything like that so we could make a direct contact and have a chat. But he's telling me he hasn't. So there's no problem there, it's something to look into at a later date. While this is going round, he sent it me in English and now he sent it me in German because he knows I'm learning German. So I can relate the words as I'm reading through. Well, may possibly help me with my German. I don't know whether it will or it won't. But at the end of the day, and that's the end of his message. He's just telling me that I've put a newspaper and he's told me that he's received it and he's put one in the post to me and a few bits and bobs about himself. Now that message I'm going to print it out, as I say, the people I talk to regular, I print it out, so as I've in the past, while I print it out, there's not much point in you listening to the printer, so I might as well stop the camera while I print it out. Now that message has been read, I'm going to type in K, which stands for kill, 13010, and that will kill that message and take it off his system, leaving more room for other people to use and for me to use, etc, etc. I've read the message, I've printed it out, so there's no problem. It says there, message 13010 is now killed. I also sent a message down to Bill, down in Australia, and he sent me a reply which is read 15851. So we'll type that in, it should send us Bill's message from Australia. Bill's business collapsed not too long ago. He's getting on in years, he's about 63, so it must be telling him it's time to retire, etc, etc. I don't know whether you can remember what I said. And this is a reply. It tells me it's a reply from VK5AWC to me, personal message, 18th of November it came back at 26 minutes past 10 at night, 22:26. Hello again Ian, I don't, as we've got to there. The title's thanks, so I'll fill the logbook in while I'm at it. As I say, I'm filling in the logbook, I'm legally bound to write down or keep on magnetic tape the dates of my contacts, the time I start my contact, who I talk to, what frequency I talk to them on, how much power I'm using to talk to them, and any remarks and what time we finish a conversation. That's all I'm doing, just writing down dates and times. For many reasons. Television interference, etc, etc, so they can pinpoint it down to people. He's saying that the message is in the box for me. He's not sure when it came down there. I told him that I was learning German, and he says he's never had a go at learning German, but he's had a go at learning French. Never used it since, so he's forgotten 90% of it. He's had trouble with his slow scan television equipment. He's telling me how he killed that. He's telling me the weather's absolutely fine, which is going down to about 2 degrees here overnight, and it's about 75 degrees over there, so it's quite warm over there. He's saying Christmas is a busy time for him because he has 2 sons. One was born on Christmas Day and one was born on Boxing Day. So he's got a rather an expensive time, never mind just a busy time. And he says he hopes to hear from me again before he'll die. That's just a nice message. He's lived in Australia since 1958. He went down there from England, he's saying, and he still can't get used to it being summer at Christmas time. So it's taken him a long time to get used to that one. So I'm going to send that down to the printer, RFP. So as I said as before, I might as well switch the camera off. No point you listening to the printer back. Read that message, printed it out, killed it. Now I'm going to read 14941, which is a message from John over in the States. I wrote over to John, just saying that I was doing a bit of a demonstration. Asked him how he was and how his mum was. His mum used to live over in Britain. And a few bits and bobs, how his aerial was, his maiden aerial, and how it was performing, if he'd had any time to do the tests on it yet, see how it was going. All things of interest. I mean, if he's made an aerial and it doesn't work very well, what's the point of me making one, you know? I mean, there's all these things to take into consideration. It's the message coming through now. It's from N9XNH, 16th of November it came in for me, to 1340. It says, "Hello Ian, thanks for the message. Hope things are good with the blokes there in the UK. HF conditions here are terrible. Haven't been too much. Half square, which is the aerial he made, seemed to work good, but took it down to do other things. So he's tried it and it seems to work pretty well. Been spending," wait for the next bit to come through. Taking quite a while because it's now we're 1953, nearly 8 o'clock at night, so I suppose everybody that's been to come home, had 5 minutes sit down, had the tea, and now they're using the radio for a bit before they go to bed. So it'll take a little bit longer. The more people that are using it, the longer it takes. Now spending some time on the worldwide bridges here on Packet. Well, he's been node hopping. He knows I node hop, so he's been trying to connect to me direct rather than send email as well now, so we can talk computer to computer. He's been working stations. He connected to a G call, which is a station in England, on Saturday. One that he works a lot apparently. He's been into Australia. Now, Pennsylvania had 26 inches of snow on the ground when they got up this morning, so that's something to watch out for, because we usually get it a couple of weeks after the States. Certainly don't get it in that sort of amount, hopefully. 26 inches in one night's rather a lot. And he's put a PS at the end, "Hello Mum says." Mum says hello. Once again I'm going to pop that off onto the printer. It doesn't take a minute to put on the printer. I just type in .com RP. It sends me RF buffer over to the printer and then prints it out. Doesn't take it long to do it. I'll switch off and we'll give that one a rest. That's what's called email. The term is email, sending electronic mail. Also fetch down files from the BBS. I typed in W and it should show me what files are available. You can go in the files into sub-files. There's mainly on these BBSs, in these sort of files, is information about radios and things like that, how you can modify them and make them better, make them work better, etc, etc. Common faults with them, how to repair them, all sorts of things like that. Just type in W anyway and see if it'll send me a list of files it's got available. There we go. There's batch, comms, Amiga, logbooks, rad mods, which will be radio mods, Windows, icons, NOS, PC, TNC, GIF. There's just loads and loads of files. I'm going to go into one. I'll go into rad mods. It tells you whether they're a directory or the file. I want to go in, there's one about adverts, dance subs form. You can download subscription forms to different places, and the printer just prints the form out and you fill it in and send it off. Quicker than sending them through the post. I'll try and see what's on rad mod, so I'll type in W, not AD. Line MOD. See what's in there as soon as we finish. It tells me all the files that are available. I want to find out what's in rad mods, in the rad mods file. See if there's any modifications for any of my radios. But there's just absolutely hundreds and hundreds of files in there on every subject you can think of. A lot of them to do with radios and computers and televisions and satellite systems and scanners, and how to get that little bit more out of what you've got, how to alter it and play with it. And, somebody spends hours and hours finding out how to do it, and then it gets on these super highways and everybody knows how to do it. There's directories in there for Elinco, Icon, PMR, receivers, Trio. Well, I've got an Icon, so I'm going to go in File for Icon, which is a directory again. So I've got to type in W, rad mods again, RAD MOD, and then I need a slash because I want the sub file in there, and I'm going to go, there's two for Icon, I'm going to go in Icon 1, ICOM, which would be Icon, and see what's in that directory. See if there's anything of any relevance to the radio that I've got. Takes a bit of time at the moment, as I say, this time not a lot of people using it. And I've also put a computer between me and the BBS, so there's a computer relaying my messages and my information and relaying the information back to me. Takes longer, but shows you how versatile the system is really. As I say, I'm working GB7FLG BBS, but I'm actually connected to G7RXG. That station there in Derby. Should be searching through its disk now and sending the information back to the other station. and then it should send it to me, hopefully. It's also dated when the files were put there, 22nd of the 11th, 94, most of these went in, which is probably when the BBS was set up. Most of them went in on that date, so I would imagine it downloaded all its files somewhere around there. Doesn't seem to be any dated any earlier. Taking is an unusual long time. Even on Saturdays and Sundays it doesn't usually get this busy to take this amount of time. Here we go. We've got a fault on the 255, the Icon IC22AT mod, the IC2400 mod, IC24RX mod, IC211. These are the model numbers of the radios and the modifications. There isn't one there for my radio, I don't think. I20628E. Doesn't seem to be. Yet there's quite a few Icon radios been made now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15 files there, and it's not finished yet. Tells you how big the file is, how many characters. That's 677, that's 5,337. That includes dots, spaces, commas and everything else. And what date they was loaded in. All these went in on 1992. All these went in 1992. So it must have been up and running there. Bum, 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 bum. IC2 SAT mod, IC32 mod, IC32 mod, IC3 2T mod. No, there doesn't seem to be one there for me. Mine is 290E, IC290E and IC490E, the ones that I use. I'll download one of those files anyway, so instead of typing W, I type in D, radmod or AD, MOD, the slash again, oops, the icon, because I'm in the icon file, ICON, and then slash again, so I can put in what subdirectory I want. I've not finished loading it yet. There's a good fair few files in there. There's modifications for the batteries. Here we go, we've finished. Index text icon. I'm trying to find a reasonably short one. Icon TNC mod, that will be a drawing. I don't really want that one. 271 mod. We'll try that. So we'll go for IC 271, 271, and we've got a full stop in there. MOD, MOD. Let's check that that's right. Radmod icon IC271.mod, and that then should find me that file. So it's got to look in the Radmod directory, subdirectory icon, and then the further subdirectory for the actual file. So again, we're asking a computer to relay our message to another computer. He's got to find it off his disk, or his system. Excuse me, his system will find it off the disk, not the operator. The operator doesn't need to be there at all. The system will find it for me and send it to me. and we can do whatever we want with it. We can stick it into buffers, we can print it out if it's something that we think we might use a few times. Can print it out, or we can always go into these systems and read them when we want. We can stick them on a disc, and fetch them off. I mean, we don't have to print them out. You can leave them on a disc and then just pull them up off your disc. Excuse me. If you pull them up off your disc, it's virtually instantaneous. For the size of these files, it only takes seconds to load them. Unfortunately, the atmospheric pressure has been quite low over the last few days, so while I've been using the radio on SSP, there hasn't been any long distance contacts. Well, anybody out of this country anyway. Wales isn't exactly close, the one that we recorded. You tend to find that you get more distance when your atmospheric pressure picks up. It also works on an 11-year cycle. For some reason, there's a lot of contributing factors, sunspots and all the rest of it. Sounds a bit daft, should the sun have spots and all that jazz, but it does. Talking days now, so hopefully we'll start sending us the information through. As you can see, the header's changing from receive to transmit. That's how I know it's talking to me. There we go. Message is coming through. It's telling you to take the screws out of the radio. Very explicit really. It's a modification for altering the squelch. It tells you to take the screws out of the radio, turn the radio upside down, look at in the right hand corner, and you'll find an orange wire attached to the squelch button. It says cut this wire and connect it to the red wire to make the squelch more sensitive. Put the radio back in the same manner, and when you've got lots of noise on the channel you can get rid of it. What a squelch does, don't know if we've if you know, if I switch the scanner on, no, perhaps not be a good idea, the scanner. I've got a radio down here. If I switch that radio on, that's the noise that's on the channel. If you turn the squelch up, it gets rid of that noise, but it allows stations talking to come through. That's basically my favourite system anyway, and that's how we run around and work about packet.